Okay, the big lesson from today's video is if dad says he doesn't want you to have a gun in the house, just leave. Like, just go. It's okay. Leave. Don't have a gunfight with dad.
My family and my staff are all covered by Firearms Legal Protection because there is no better resource to help good, sane, sober, moral, prudent people after a use of force. They now have a great newsletter available to everyone for free as well. Sign up at the link below and check out their coverage too. Don't forget to thank them for bringing us today's video.
Hi everybody, welcome to today's lesson here at Active Self-Protection. I'm your host as always, John Correa. Joining me for this absolute goat rodeo is ASP CEO Stephanie Widener.
Yeah, this one is awful. It's out of Coweta County, Georgia, and it's a tragic thing all around.
We've linked the news story in the description on this one. What has happened is that this young adult has come up to mom and dad's house. Dad saw the outline of a gun in his sweatpants pockets, said, "Hey, I don't want that gun in here, get out of here, or give me the gun." And the son said no, so dad went back to his bedroom, got his own gun, got on the phone with 911, and now we're going to pick up the action as son steps outside and starts to draw his gun out of his pocket. You see dad have his gun and point it as well. Son gets the first shot towards dad, who goes back into the house. Now you're gonna see son come back up here again and take a couple more shots at dad. Dad takes a shot back at son. He's gonna do what, I mean, it looks like he mouthed his gun or something. He's gotta clear that up. Dad comes out and is gonna take a shot at him here. And now you're gonna see son strafing by, taking more shots at dad in his house. Now, if you go read the news story that we've linked in the description, dad finally went back inside, locked the door. He was on the phone with police at that time, and in a matter of a few minutes, police will arrive. You see his son here is just gonna become a camper and is going to set an ambush for dad. Thankfully, dad was smart enough not to go back out there and walk into that ambush or engage in more gunfire with his son. Police did show up, were able to successfully disarm this man and take him into custody. He is facing aggravated assault charges against his father. Dad was unharmed and is not facing charges. We're gonna talk about lessons now. Hey, have you checked out the Active Self-Protection podcast yet? I think Mike is doing an incredible job. What's your favorite episode?
Oh, it's fantastic. I love the women's self-defense one where we talked with several women involved with ASP and other self-defense places, talking about why they got into self-defense. Just fascinating stuff, the stories and places where they came from. That and the other self-defense encounters, lessons learned from a first-person perspective, fantastic.
And if you're looking for them here on YouTube, go over to the Active Self-Protection Extra channel. We're posting them over there on the evenings on the week. Steph, I know a lot of people are going to talk about the underlying issues on this one and why the heck a dad would point a gun at his child, but it's a pretty complicated milieu here, and I think that we don't necessarily know all the backstory.
We certainly don't, and it's not uncommon. In fact, we're highly likely, if we are going to face violence in our life, to face something from a family member or someone that we know. And there's plenty of us that have dysfunction either in our immediate family or in that periphery. And so to think some of these things through and be prepared for this, I think is smart. And I think probably dad knew going into this that there were some challenges, and that's why he didn't want this gun in the house.
And is it okay for dad to say, "Hey, I don't want this person to have a gun in my house"? Hey, listen, it's his property. He can decide that he doesn't want anybody with brown hair in his house, and that's totally his right on his private property. And for him to say, "Hey, I don't want you to have a gun, either give it to me or get out of here," or whatever, is perfectly fine. I would strongly recommend, though, in these kinds of family dynamic situations, that you have these discussions as a family ahead of time, that you have the discussion with yourself as well, so that you know what your boundaries are and what you're going to enforce. Because the last thing in the world you want is to have to wonder in that moment, gosh, am I willing to point a gun at my child? Am I willing to press a trigger on my child? If I have to do that, would I rather die myself? And having to go through all that mental math is way too much to expect in the moment.
Those are such complicated questions. And could there be a situation where you are justified and it's smart to get in a gunfight with your son? Absolutely. But definitely to think about that when you have a cooler head and decide where your lines are, so you don't have to make the decision in the middle of this and potentially regret it for the rest of your life.
Right. So have those discussions in advance. Know what your boundaries are in advance. Be a good, sane, sober, moral, prudent person, please. From this point forward, we are going to talk about the tactics involved here, okay? So there's plenty of that to go around for us to talk about too. So we see the son starting to draw the gun. Dad's got his firearm up. Now, interestingly to me that I want to talk about here, yes, he's on the phone with emergency dispatch at this point. But if you think that a gunfight is imminent, put the phone down and put two hands on the gun.
Yeah, take care of the immediate threat first. That's the most important thing. And if you can get, misses don't win gunfights. So if he can get 2 hands on the gun and end this gunfight here, that is better. He can tell the police all about it later.
Yeah, and again, so just like we talk about with law enforcement officers and we tell them to get off the radio, for private citizens, I get it. You want to be on the phone with 911. If you put it on speaker and put the phone down or just drop it, they are not going to get there in time. And we saw it in this video. They will not get there in time to save you. You are your own first responder. Drop the phone. I get it. You're trained not to drop your phone, and it's an expensive pocket supercomputer. But drop the phone, 2 hands on the gun, because you've got a gunfight in front of you. You have an emergency situation. Handle the problem. You have everything you need to handle the problem with you.
And he takes several shots throughout this gunfight, and he's in what looks to be a neighborhood. If you are going to take shots, they need to be as accurate as you can make them. You don't want to be winging them off wherever while you're on the phone dealing with a problem that can be dealt with in 10 minutes.
Yeah, I think he does a good thing here. As we continue on, he says, oh no, this guy really is willing to shoot at me. So he retreats back inside his house. And I think that's a good decision here. Get in the house, lock the door, set up a defensible space. That depends on what your house looks like on the inside, whatever hallway or whatever. But coming back out and having a gunfight, really bad spot, because he may be better with a gun than you are. So I think retreating back inside the house behind a locked door, getting out of sight is smart.
In the best case scenario, that this can end the gunfight right here where they don't continue to shoot throughout the neighborhood. So I do think that was super smart. We see the son continues to shoot at and toward the house wildly. And we see that here a little bit, it looks like he has some sort of malfunction with his gun. And this is the point that dad is going to lean out and take some shots as well. And this is something we see over and over again, that bad guys generally don't have quality equipment, and malfunctions are common. If you were close enough to do some sort of fight this while the gun was malfunctioned, that's super smart if you're ready for it.
Yep, and again, so looking for opportunities. Now, I think the better chance here is for dad to just be inside. But again, I think I see it with good people too, but bad guys tend to just have crappy guns. Those crappy guns tend to malfunction an awful lot. And so using that opportunity against somebody and saying, okay, here's my chance to get a hit, because misses don't end gunfights. And here, what we're going to see as we just creep forward is you see right there, you see a gunshot from dad. You see him come out. Now, when son is getting back in the fight at this moment, he is clearing that malfunction and bringing the gun back up. You got to take that opportunity if you have chosen to maintain in the gunfight, or you don't have any choice and you have to stay in the gunfight, to get a hit. It is hits that win gunfights. Now, this isn't a small distance, Steph. This is probably 12 to 15 yards or so. So when we talk about, private citizen defensive gunfights often start at 3 to 7 yards, but what we see here is they can open up to a much farther distance in a hurry.
And as they're trying to make these shots one-handed and moving, it's just that's no way to put an accurate shot on target. Take the time, get a good established grip, 2 hands, and end it. 5 shots ago.
And this takes training, friends. This takes more than just plinking on the range. It takes more than just having a friend or a family member who was a cop and told you how to hold the handgun. It takes formal training and practice in order to do that well. So again, the reason that you want to get a hit is otherwise the bad guy continues to get a vote and the son continues to get that gun up and fire shots back at dad. One of the things we talk about with attitude, if my skill set and my plan are good, then my attitude can be, I am going to get a hit before you so that you can have confidence in order to be careful enough to get the hit that you want. And that attitude is the key to winning a gunfight.
And at this distance, it's totally possible to get a good shot on target. If you have some training and some ability and get a good grip, it's totally possible to do it. There's no reason to just continue to randomly wing shots all over the place.
And when we talk about reloads, we didn't see a reload here, but the number one cause of reloading is missing.
Yeah.
And when you miss, then you end up needing way more rounds. So get hits is what you want to do, because otherwise the misses keep coming, and what happens again, this guy keeps coming with misses. And every time you miss, you give him more opportunities to harm you, to harm your loved ones, to put shots into the house. Who knows what else is going on there? So again, I just want to reiterate, I think that dad's best decision here was to get inside the house, lock the door, get away from the windows, get away from the doors, and set a spot where he can see the exterior dimensions or whatever, and just let the cops show up on this one rather than continuing on in a gunfight. And not knowing the background story, not knowing what the heck happened here, I think at this point those things are irrelevant because you're in the middle of a gunfight. And you gotta have the skills in order to make this gunfight end. Thankfully, the son didn't have the marksmanship skills to hit dad, but dad, you need to have the skills to put this guy down so that he's not taking shots at you, especially because he's gonna go camp here. And again, are you the hunter or are you the rabbit? You do not wanna be the rabbit, and this guy's gonna decide, oh, okay, I'm gonna wait until dad comes back out. Had he come back out, as Pat McNamara says, right, people are pre-programmed to pick up patterns of predictability, and so if dad shows back up on that porch, he's in a bad spot.
I was surprised at the amount of determination that the son has in this. He was not scared off by multiple gunshots. Of course, neither was dad. They were both determined to stay in this gunfight, and he camps out here for a good long time. There's no doubt if dad showed up and showed his face out there that he would have been shot at again.
So crazy gunfight here. Again, I don't know the family backstory and all that stuff. I do know, as a good, sane, sober, moral, prudent person, we do not want to get into these fights if at all possible, but if we have to, misses don't end gunfights. So you got to have a skill set that is up to the task in the moment. Thankfully, dad was not hurt. Nobody else in the home was hurt. And man, we are in a spot here now where we can think about those things. So make sure you have those discussions ahead of time. And gosh, Steph, this one was crazy. Thanks so much for your input.
Yeah, thanks for having me.